Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. This is Ryan Crodel at Valencell. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here for what we believe will be a very interesting and valuable webinar. And we will get started on that webinar in just a few minutes. It looks like we've still got quite a few people joining, so want to give them a chance to get in and get settled. So we will start here in just a few moments. Thanks again for joining, and we'll get going in just a minute. Thank you. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started here. This is Ryan Crodel again at Valencell. Thanks again for everyone taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. Looks like we've still got a few people trickling in, but looks like most everybody's on. So we'll go ahead and get started to be respectful to everyone else's time, and we want to get right to it. A few quick housekeeping items. I've already gotten a question about sending out the slides afterwards. We will absolutely share the slides and the recording of the webinar after the webinar later today. And the recording will be available on the Valencell YouTube channel, and we always put the slides on SlideShare, and we will send out links to both of those following the webinar today. Also, one quick thing about question and answer. We encourage you to ask questions, and we like these to be as interactive as possible. So please do submit any questions you have or any topics you'd like us to dive deeper on through the GoToWebinar control panel, and we will take those questions as they come up throughout the presentation. And then also we have time blocked at the end for additional questions and answers. So please do interact and let us know what you'd like to hear more about or what you'd like us to clarify. So with that, let's jump right in. A quick introduction. We're very excited to have Hamid Tagazi from Sonion on the webinar today. And Hamid is a senior product manager at Sounion. For those of you who may not have seen the news over the summer, Valencell and Sounion entered into a strategic partnership with our two companies, really bringing a lot of synergistic capabilities to the table in terms of Sonion's expertise in components that go into hearables and hearing health devices, and their expertise and experience and customer base in that hearing health space, as well as in consumer hearables. And Valencell obviously bringing a great deal of expertise to the table in terms of biometric sensor systems that go into wearable and hearable devices of all kinds, including including hearing health devices, as you will hear quite a bit more of today. So very excited to have Hamid here, and he's going to do the majority of the presentation. I'll jump in at various points just to add some color commentary from the Valencell perspective, but we wanted to have Hamid bring Sonion's perspective to some of the high-level market trends that are going on in both the hearing health space as well as in the consumer hearable space, and where we see those trends going and how that applies to product development going forward. So without further ado, I will hand over to Hamid to get started.
Great. Good morning, Ryan. Thanks very much for the introduction. And thank you all the people joining the webinar for taking some time out of your day. During this webinar, actually, we want to go through the expanding hearables and next generation of hearing health products. And we are very excited with our strategic partnership we have made with Valencell. So this webinar will go through the market trends for hearables and hearing health, and we have mostly focus on combining sensors with these products. Again, my name is Hamid Reza Tatavi, Senior Product Manager at Sounion. Just briefly looking into the content of the webinar today, I will give you shortly an overview of Sonion as a company. We will look into megatrends and market observations from Sonion perspective, and also what sensors will bring into these markets, and what going to be the next steps in biometric features and new enabled use cases. And in the end, we're going to look into the summary of the webinar. So Sounion was founded in Denmark in 1974, and we are a business-to-business supplier of micro-acoustics and micromechanical technologies and products and solutions for hearing instruments, hearing aids, and also other advanced ear-level audio devices. We are today more than 6,000 employees with our facilities, with our headquarters in Denmark. Mostly the sales, marketing, application engineering, and R&D on transducers in the Netherlands and industrialization in Poland. We have sales and application facilities in US and China, and our big manufacturing sites in Vietnam and Philippines. And since September 2014, we are owned by Novo Holding. It's a huge Danish holding company. So a little bit on our product portfolio. Here we see like three main categories of products. On the left is transducers, middle is micromechanicals, and on the right is sensors and modules. If you look into the left, the transducers are covering several types of products. We use balanced armature technology to make receivers. These are very tiny loudspeakers that you can actually put in the ear canal, so that tiny. We have a range of those products based on customer variants and also generic products that can go from low power to high power devices. We also make high performance microphones based on electret technology and MEMS technology. And we do make actually coils. These coils can be like telecoils, specifically for hearing aids and hearing implants, NFMI coils for wireless communication, for true wireless devices, mostly for hearables. And we have wireless charging coils, the same technology for wireless charging in hearables and hearing aids. If we look into the middle, we have several products made for micromechanical components. These are mostly used in hearing aids. These are really miniaturized components. For example, user interfaces. We have small push buttons, on-off switches, scrollers for volume controls, for example. We do have also dispenser interfaces. These are used as connectors and cables for programming the DSP of the hearing aid, and supporting parts and products like faceplates, connectors, dampers, and wax protection systems. So dampers and wax protections can also be used for consumer hearables. And the most exciting part, I would say, are our sensors and modules. For example, looking onto the right picture, you see a receiver in the canal module, which uses a connector, wiring system that connects to balanced armature speakers in a housing, and also the plastic or silicone dome on top of that. So this product can be just clicked to the audio processor of the hearing aid, and then you have the full device functioning. In the middle, we also have our voice pickup sensor. This is enabling on voice pickup by means of bone conduction. And on top, we have the Valencell optical heart rate monitor module. We have, for quite a long time, the customers in hearing aid and hearing instruments products. We make high-end balanced armatures for pro audio market, and we are expanding our markets into hearables and communication devices. So by this introduction, I would like to go to megatrends and market observations and what Sonion perspective is there. Based on the Sounion Valencell partnership, actually, we want to bring the best sensor and monitoring capabilities to ear level applications. So this has been for us also a strategic partnership that expands boundaries for the use of biometric sensors in the ear. So not only, in the ear, it can be also in the ear canal. Sounion will introduce sensor modules for applications in the ear, and Valencell will further develop the advanced and accurate biometric sensor capabilities. As market leaders in hearing health and biometrics, we want to accelerate innovations also within this ear level sensor domain. Valencell brings expertise as a leader in wearable biometrics, and Sounion brings the expertise and experience in development and manufacturing. And we expect to result in significant reduction in size, cost, and power consumption on the PPG-based sensors. You can read this published partnership news, a press release from June 6, 2018.
Hamid, if you don't mind, if I may jump in just on that, on the partnership announcement, just to add a Valencell perspective there. First and foremost, we're really excited about this partnership and what the combined efforts of the two companies can provide to both hearing health and consumer hearables companies across the board. I think also at a macro level, this is something that we at Valencell have been seeing and talking about for several years now, which is this is somewhat of a microcosm of a broader macro level trend around consumer wearables and hearables moving towards and converging with health and medical devices, and vice versa, where you see more health and medical devices becoming more consumer oriented and intended to be worn outside of a medical facility. And this is I think a perfect example of one area where that convergence is rapidly accelerating, and you're seeing these hearing health devices, as we'll talk about in more detail in just a bit, adding more consumer-oriented functionality, and you're seeing consumer hearables adding more health and medical capabilities. And we just see we're really just at the tip of the iceberg here, and very excited about the future of what we can do together. So just wanted to add that perspective of both from Valencell and also more from a market level. This is certainly something we're seeing in the ear as a location for sensors and devices, but also a great example of a broader trend that where this is going on in other devices and other areas as well.
Indeed, thanks very much, Ryan. So by this, I would like to move forward with the perspectives that we have, mostly for hearing aids. Sounion sees hearing aids becoming multifunctional over the next 5 to 7 years, and this is not just as a new gadget, but because we believe relevant sensors integrated in the optimal way can add real value to the average hearing impaired people, both for real-time advanced medical monitoring, but also in other ways, like adding on top of biometric sensors, a voice sensor, and you can combine all those with artificial intelligence. Sensor-enriched hearing aids can play an important role here by delivering more cost-effective and more patient-focused, relevant healthcare, and a number of potentially relevant use cases across different vectors can be enabled. So these can be core hearing aid functionality, improving customer journey, medical monitoring, and health and wellnesses. Let me give you some examples here on these different vectors of use cases. For example, for core hearing aid functionality improvement, we can use sensors to do activity detection for acoustic scene analysis. So based on what kind of activity the user is doing, you can change the DSP program of the hearing aid. We can also change directionality patterns based on head or eye movements. And we can also reduce listening effort based on the state of mind. So you can use less complex algorithms if the user is getting tired, for example. For customer journey, using sensors, we can improve receiver and canal reliabilities. For example, if there is a wax coming to block the products, we can learn about that and stop it. Automatic on and off the hearing aid, and also fitting support and self-fitting and remote fitting can be enabled by using different type of sensors. On medical monitoring and health and wellness, that's where actually Valencell technology will bring a lot based on heart rate and related metrics to understand cardiovascular issues, vital signs, and examples of fall prevention, dehydration, and glucose measurement for diabetes. So this is a broad range of use cases in different vectors that can be enabled by using sensors. The hearing aid OEMs also need to find their best way to monetize the value here based on the sensor-enriched hearing aids. And in our view, now is the time. So the hearing aid OEMs have to design sensors into their hearing aid roadmap, product roadmaps with high speed, actually, ensuring that these hearing aid architectures and new platforms will support multiple sensors applications.
Hamid, there was a question that just came in So sorry to interrupt, but it's probably worth addressing here. Question is, will Sounion/ValenCell deliver data that will enable the OEMs to obtain the various required medical device approvals regarding the sensor functionality?
Yeah, so
but I'll let you take the first pass.
Please, this is something that we are working on. So we are not sure how these like medical device regulations will interact with these sensors, but this is something we are moving on. One thing about the medical data, recently also Oricon made a partnership with Philips, and that we think is going to this domain with patient data and all the sensor data that you can get with hearing aids. But over to you, Ryan, something to add here.
Yeah, just so I agree with all that. Just to add on top of that, as an ingredient technology company, ValenCell will certainly support our customers in achieving those medical device approvals as needed. Now, of course, it all comes down to what claims the device is making and how those claims are supported, and of course the sensor technology feeding in to those claims. So it's variable depending on the device itself and the claims it's making, but we certainly support our customers in getting any approvals necessary to get the product to market.
Indeed. Any other questions for now, Ryan?
Not at the moment, but I'll just encourage everyone, if you do have questions, please do submit them through the GoToWebinar control panel.
Great. Okay, thanks. So based on the partnership between Sounion and ValenCell, actually, we have received a lot of extremely positive feedbacks from our hearing aid customers and the consumer OEM customers. So I would like to actually highlight a few of those here. So you see a number of customers and the big OEMs that we work together. They are saying that it is an ingenious solution to put the sensor inside a rig, and the rig is this receiver in the canal module. So we are actually working on bringing optical heart rate monitor sensors into the ear canals at Sonion. Others saying we are highly interested, particularly in the uncalibrated blood pressure measurements. We are also excited to lead with ValenCell this technology forward. This is an excellent concept. We would like to discuss how we can have exclusivity on this, and exciting news, let us talk more about this as soon as possible. So a lot of our customers and OEMs have shown interest in this ValenCell Sonion partnership and how we enable new technologies and use cases in both hearing health and consumer hearable markets.
Hamid, we had another question come in. The question is, what are the challenges you have with the reliable and secure location of a biometric sensor in a unique ear shape?
If we look into hearing health product like hearing aids, we have mostly RIC systems, RIC devices, which the audio processor sits behind the ear, and the loudspeaker goes into the ear canal. And for these, we have different shapes of the RIC modules and different sizes. So we make sure that the sensor that's gonna be in the ear canal together with the balanced armature receiver will sit in a right place in the ear canal that can enable, first of all, acoustics, because that's the main functionality of the hearing aid, and also the measurements of the optical heart rate monitor sensor to be at highest accuracy.
Well, one other thing I'll add to that, if you don't mind, Hamid, is just that is one of the critical challenges you identified in the question, which is reliability and security of the sensor placement. So particularly during movement, and the ear canal itself presents unique challenges on that front that other locations, even on the ear, doesn't necessarily present. So, for example, the shape and form of the ear canal changes as someone is talking or chewing or doing different activities, and so those are unique challenges that we have to design for, and more importantly, test for across a broad spectrum of the population to ensure that it works on a large number of people doing a variety of different activities.
Indeed. Any other topics here, Ryan?
No other questions at the moment.
Okay, but I would like actually to move forward with the next two slides with our megatrends and market observations. The first slide will focus on hearing health market, and the next will actually say about the consumer hearables and audio market. So what we see in the hearing health domain is that margin pressure is coming to the hearing aid industry. And these RICs, the receiver in the canal modules, continue to grow into more dominant segment. They are really getting bigger and bigger market for hearing aids. Still, the better speech understanding in noise is the key technology for hearing aids. However, sensors providing smart or medical features are now entering into hearing aid architecture. Connectivity is there definitely because you can use of big data based on all the sensors you want to put in the hearing aids. Rechargeability is name of the game. It's definitely coming these days with different product of hearing aids of our customers. The teleaudiology and remote fine-tuning and fitting will become more mainstream, and this is like you can adjust the hearing aid DSP fitting software for individuals in a remote sense. And of course, the over-the-counter products of hearing aids, again, including self-fitting and pre-fitting, is also growing. All over looking into these mega trends, we see that improvement in size, power consumption, and acoustic performance is a ticket to play in the market. I have two examples here from hearing aid manufacturers. Our customer Starkey Hearing has announced in their, I think, expo in January this year that they will release a product, a hearing aid product with sensor over a year. And just recently they announced their product called Livio AI, which is the world's first hearing aid with sensors and artificial intelligence inside. They also believe that hearing aids will be multifunctional. Also, Oticon has published about a future of hearing aid technology, and they also believe that hearing aids could become a multi-sensor wearable hub. So these are actually the evidences we see in the hearing aid market that hearing aids are now coming with new sensors in their platforms.
Hamid, we had sorry, I didn't catch you in time before you switched the slide. Yeah. We had a couple of questions come in. First one is, which sensors will be available will be available first in the partnership, parentheses, optical blood pressure? Well, we'll talk about that in a moment, but I'll let you take the question first.
Yeah, sure, definitely. I mean, the optical sensor module will be, of course, based on which market we are talking. Mostly for hearing aids will be smaller. It will be definitely a little bit different in the architecture, but maybe the main question is that what kind of metrics we will enable there. So this will cover a range of features like heart rate, resting RR intervals, VO2, cadence, step count, and hopefully we are now working on blood pressure, calibrated and uncalibrated. So about in few moments, we have some slides to show on what kind of metrics we are working for.
And one other question, you were talking about prioritization earlier. The question is this prioritization size and or current drain dependent?
So if we are looking into definitely all the new platforms coming for enabling sensors within the hearing aids, still we want to have the acoustic performance continuously becoming better and better, because that's the main functionality of the hearing aid. But of course, adding sensors will help there to increase this performance. However, now we are adding new components to the architecture. We need to take care definitely the size and power consumption. So there is a kind of optimization in there to do this performance improvement, and also keeping still the power consumption low and the size is small.
Great, thanks, Hamid. That's all for the questions right now.
Sure, thanks, Ryan. Now looking into market observations and megatrends we see for consumer hearables, we put them in three main categories. So one is lifestyle, the other is healthcare, and on top of those, of course, we have artificial intelligence. So a product, we think, in the consumer hearables based on lifestyle needs to have best audio and sound quality for music, enhanced user experience based on if you're listening to music, if you're reading, gaming, etc. Best calling experience with no background noise, smart voice recognition. This can be enabled by, for example, the bone conduction sensor, and ease of use in the end for the end users. Looking into healthcare, products want to have basic fitness use cases and compatibility with other devices, accuracy of fitness, data analytics, and cloud security syncs between the devices and between devices and clouds. Use cases and metrics like heart rate monitoring, blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, allergies, etc. will be in the future part of the hearable products. Smart connectivity and data analytics with host, either it's yourself products or a clinic will be there, and alerts from falling, pollution, or pinging from a host based on the inputs from several sensors will be part of these consumer hearables. And absolutely on top of that, the artificial intelligence, which will fuse all these big data based on different trends and patterns that you get from different type of sensors to self-drive devices per end user habits, and do some presettings, for example, with artificial intelligence, ability to use voice commands in the most accurate way and smart ways based on the environment, the noise, etc., etc. Reading, writing emails, voice calendars, getting acoustic coach and feedback, instant language translation, and environmental alerts, security, and self-charging. So all these we believe that will be in the future in consumer hearable products. By this, I would like to actually give two examples. For example, on the PPG sensor added to earphones. we have been looking how much added value and in the end average sales price will bring if you add a PPG sensor to a hearable or a wireless earphone product. So on the left, we take a Bose product, Bose Sound Sport and Bose Sound Sport Plus, which has a heart rate monitor sensor. So we see that the sales price goes up with 50% if you add the heart rate monitor functionality to that. And on the right, we take the Jabra product with Elite and Elite Sport. And this we see also about 30% increase in the sales price. And based on released high-end earphones in the market today, we see that estimated of 50 to 80 euros price increase is added to products which have PPG sensor added.
Hamid, we had another question come in, and actually, I think I will probably end up taking this one, but I'll ask it anyway. The question is, do you always have to monitor heart rate in the ear canal? Can you not locate the heart rate monitor in the concha bowl? Can you locate BP oxygen level sensors in the concha, or do they need to be in the canal? I'll probably take first pass at that, and you jump in if there's anything to add. So the answer is no, you do not have to monitor any of the biometrics in the ear canal itself. In fact, most of the implementations of the valence cell technology are in the concha bowl itself, and specifically in the bottom of the concha. And I think you'll see even hearing health devices that monitor biometrics in that location, in addition to the consumer hearables. But what we're also working on is the ability to do the ear canal as well for form factors like the RIC or the receiver in canal that don't have a touch point in the concha as of today. So trying to maintain the integrity of that design and build the sensors into within those design constraints.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Okay, that's the only other question right now.
Okay. So our next topic will be actually the new biometric features that we would like to introduce to the market. In this part, I have just one slide. We'll look into some facts and numbers, and then from there, I would like to give the presentation to Ryan to go on with blood pressure technology. So what we want to actually bring into this slide is the comorbidity diseases linked to hearing loss. And on x-axis, we show the prevalence in millions, and on the y-axis is the mortality in thousands. And we see the green ones, which are actually linked to hearing loss, are falls, atrial fibrillation, stroke, diabetes, and high blood pressure. And all these have some relevance to people who have hearing loss. And these are more than normal people. And the size of the bubbles show actually the cost to the healthcare system. So based on the study and actually benchmarking within the reports we see that actually high blood pressure and diabetes have the highest cost to the healthcare system. And this actually also drives our thoughts to enable new metrics based on these two. And we definitely are now working on blood pressure technology. And I would like to give the presentation to Ryan, who will actually give you an insightful discussion on how we are moving with this technology to enable the blood pressure based on PPG sensor. Please, Ryan.
Great, thank you, Hamid. And if you would, oh yeah, perfect. Okay, so I think some of you may know, but others may not. Valencell has developed a PPG-based cuffless blood pressure technology that, as of today, this technology is still under development, but as of today, the technology meets the ISO standard for accuracy for a consumer-grade blood pressure cuff. That's and I'll show you what some of those metrics look like with the data we have to date. And that is, as you can see in this picture, in terms of sensor location, working both at the finger, just putting your finger over the sensor like you see in this picture, and then also in the ear, in an earbud, or as we're talking about in a receiver canal. So this is technology we've been working on for years, but it's also I think representative of this convergence of these consumer wearables and hearables and health and medical devices in general. But the ability to measure blood pressure not just in a point in time, but do continuous measurement of blood pressure throughout a day and throughout a person's activities is a different model and something we have not seen before in the marketplace. And so it's certainly very exciting from that standpoint. Still work to do, but we expect to see this come to commercialization in 2019. And so there's a variety of different activities going along in those fronts, but it's a huge problem, as Hamid pointed out, and unfortunately it's a problem that continues to grow. And so hopefully this technology, amongst others, can address that situation, at least in some small way. Excuse me. So Hamid, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, a little bit more about the accuracy of the technology. And I guess I should have mentioned also, when we say PPG-based cuffless blood pressure monitoring technology, that is one sensor, one point on the body. This is not using any pulse transit time. It's not using any other sensor modality outside of the PPG sensor. And so you can see there that the ISO standard for a consumer grade cuff is plus or minus 5 millimeters of mercury on the mean error and 8 millimeters of mercury on the standard deviation. And you can see where we stand with those, with the accuracy on both the finger and the ear. This is also, and I should have mentioned, this has been tested on several hundred different patients over the course of the last 18 months or so, and this is the testing, of course, is separate from the data set that our model is built on to ensure integrity from that standpoint. So still more validation work to be done and more data to be collected, but the results are certainly encouraging at this point. And so we will continue that development along with our partners at Sonion and getting this to market in a variety of different form factors as we go forward here. So one last slide on this, Hamid, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Just in general, ear level PPG, when you compare this to existing or competing technologies that are available and already cleared on the market, certainly blood pressure cuffs are pervasive throughout the market. Although the size and usability of that technology is difficult for many people and can lead to inaccurate results. Certainly, if someone doesn't know what they're doing with a blood pressure cuff. and the pulse transit time technologies that we've seen out there have a variety of different issues as well, which I won't go into in detail here. I think I neglected to mention earlier that the accuracy numbers and the technology we're talking about here does require a calibration. We think approximately once a month, and that will likely get to a longer time frame, but it does need to be calibrated against a cuff about once a month at the moment. And we are also working on an uncalibrated version of the technology that does not obviously require any calibration. It doesn't require that we know really anything about the person being measured. And so that's a longer development path, but that's certainly something we're also working on as well, because there's a variety of, there's interest in the uncalibrated technology as well. And so it's just a harder hurdle to get over. And so we're certainly working down both the calibrated and uncalibrated paths, but you'll see some exciting technology advancements coming on both of those sides very soon. So with that, I believe that's the end of the blood pressure slides. I see we do have a couple of questions come in that have come in while I've been talking, so we'll get those out here. A question is, when do you expect a consumer earphone will be released with a blood pressure sensor in the ear? Did you say 2019? I did not mean a product on the market in 2019 with a BP sensor, either a consumer earphone or otherwise. What I said was that the blood pressure technology itself is expected to be commercialized in 2019. When that makes it into a product on the market is still very much to be determined. Of course, because Valencell has some control, but limited control as to the end device itself and the commercialization path of those devices that our technology is built into. We certainly don't have full control over that. The next question is, and Hamid, please do jump in if you have anything to add on these questions. The next question is, it says, so the ear is a better location of the BP sensor for better ISO accuracy. So our initial data so far has shown that the ear is slightly better than the finger, and that's consistent with all of the biometrics that we measure, whether that's continuous heart rate or heart rate variability or cardiac efficiency or any of the other metrics that our sensors can measure. The ear continues to be one of the best, if not the best place on the body to measure biometrics optically, and blood pressure is certainly demonstrating that as well to date. As I mentioned, we're still, the data collection is ongoing, both at the finger and at the ear, but it's right now is showing slightly better accuracy at the ear. Again, there's a lot of caveats with that, depending on the implementation of the technology. So what type of device is that finger sensor built into? What type of device is the ear sensor built into? Does it have the appropriate design considerations to make sure in the ear that you have stability, and at the finger you have the finger is not moving around significantly, or there's a variety of different factors that go into that accuracy from an implementation standpoint. So it looks like we've had quite a few more questions come in, so I'll continue. I'll continue to go down this list. I'll pause though. Hamid, did you have anything to add so far?
No, thanks. Please.
Great. Next question: can we monitor BP thanks to a microphone? Is it correlated to PPG measurements? I believe I'm reading that question correctly. at this point, at least in terms of the valence cell development of this blood pressure technology, we are not using any microphone technologies or inputs at the moment for that measurement. As I mentioned earlier, this is purely PPG based methodology for deriving the blood pressure estimate. Let's see. Next question is which way will this PPG product available in 2019? I think I already addressed that in the previous question, but if I'm misunderstanding your question, please do resubmit with further detail. Next question is, are you considering in the ear EEG monitoring? I will speak for valence cell and then let Hamid speak for Sounion. At this point, valence cell is not considering commercializing EEG monitoring in the ear. We, as a company in general, are focused on PPG technologies and all you can do with the PPG sensor systems, and don't have any plans to commercialize any EEG monitoring. But Hamid, I'll let you speak to that as well.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, measurements based on biopotentials like EEG, EOG are interesting for, I would say, hearing health products. And we see several research is ongoing, not from Sonion side, but from research centers of our customers. But we also do not have short-term plans on commercialization of the electrodes and sensing based on ear canal measurements. But these are really interesting measurements, definitely.
Yep, agreed. That was the EEG question. Next question is, how do you expect to protect the PPG sensors against earwax when placed in the ear? I assume light intensity is essential. Great question. Hamid, do you want to take first pass at that?
Yeah, so we are working, of course, with hearing aid customers for long term, and this we have a lot of experience that earwax can actually deteriorate the acoustic component, because today the only component that goes into the ear canal is the balanced armature receiver, and if the wax goes into the outlet of the receiver or speaker, then the sound is clogged and you block the audio and the functionality of the device will stop. Excuse me. So then we are now adding a sensor module that is also working with lights. So we are actually looking into, is the earwax actually transparent to, for example, the infrared technology or not, or are there different bandwidths that we can use still and probably detect if wax is there, or be just insensitive to that. Please, Ryan, add your comments here as well.
Yeah, no, that I would just add a brief comment on that. That is, it is very much an issue, as Hamid mentioned, and so we are, without giving away too much secret sauce, we have designs that we believe mitigate that issue, and are certainly demonstrating that capability to do so. So it's certainly an issue, but it's not insurmountable. One other question here, Hamid, which is, will Sounion/valence cell provide a hardware development kit for new devices?
That's not actually today in our plan. So everything that we will provide is the technology based on the sensor module and the software that comes from valence cell, and that our customers will actually design into their products.
And maybe this is my interpretation of the question. I think maybe the question is an evaluation kit for new devices for the technology, which we do provide. At least from a valence cell standpoint, we have evaluation kits for ear-based sensor modules that include an earbud. It is not a hearing health device or evaluation kit, but for a consumer hearable device, there are evaluation kits available.
Sure.
If that was the question, if I'm interpreting that question correctly. Oh, there's some follow-up to that here. Will we get samples of the module to design in the module to our device? And that's okay. So yeah, that answer is yes. There are. You can certainly get samples of the module to design into whatever device you're looking at building.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that clarification to the person who asked that question. I believe that's all the questions for now. So I think we can get back to the slides.
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. So I think, yeah, we are just to the end. So by this, I would like to summarize some few highlights from the webinar today. So what we believe today is that hearing aids will be multifunctional products, not only improving the acoustics and hearing, but also adding sensors and enabling several use cases. Definitely biometric sensors will be part of the hearing aids. So today we see that from our customers, we are moving into that direction. A range of new biometrics will be available, and this is based on all the relevances that we are looking today based on age and comorbidities. And as one of these new very exciting metrics, the blood pressure going to be the next step of many actually towards hearing aids and actually also consumer hearables, and would like to provide a broad range of health and medical capabilities by enabling these type of new biometrics into the products. So I would like to thank you all for your time, and if you have any other questions, please, Ryan, go ahead and read those.
Sure. I don't see any other. Oh, sorry. One other question here. It is, will there be an EHR interface, electronic health record interface?
That is for probably hearing aids. So we are working with our customers on these kind of platforms, but this is not something that Sounion will provide. So this is the hearing aid manufacturers that will work on hearing health records.
Yep, and same goes for valence cell in terms of the biometric data that is generated by these devices. It's really up to the device maker itself what they do with that data, and obviously much of this data is relevant for an EHR, but that is up to them. So, and they're certainly working on that, we know, but that's a bit out of our control. One other, well, it's not a question, but I think it's probably a good way to wrap up unless there are any other questions, and that's one of the attendees just says, thanks for the presentation, very interesting and informative. So I will echo that and say, Hamid, thanks very much for your time. And
you're welcome, my pleasure.
Very much appreciated, and thanks everyone for your time in joining the webinar. We hope you found it valuable. Just to reiterate what we mentioned up top, the webinar has been recorded, and we'll make the slides and the recording available to everyone who registered and really anyone who wants to see it. So we encourage you to share it with anyone who you think might be interested, whether those are colleagues, friends, whoever that might be. Please do please do share, and we will get the links to the recording and the slides out to you probably later today, if not tomorrow at the latest. So thanks again, and we will see you on the next webinar. Have a great day, everyone.